You've probably beaten Remnant 2 at least once by now, and boy is this game tough. Trying out Apocolypse is a really rough experience with bosses that have insanely inflated health. Why are they so tanky? Because of builds like this. Meet the Royal Bounty Hunter, a precision-based build that uses fusion rifles to shred health at a distance. You can delete half of a boss's HP bar upon entering the fight, and it works no matter who you go up against. For those interested in learning how the Bolt Driver and Deceit guns work, this is the build right here. These two guns, when used correctly, output weak spot crit on every single shot. Here's how you set it up. Your primary class will be Hunter. When it comes to gun damage, this is the best class in the game as it offers 40% more range damage, 15% extra weak spot damage, much more ammo, faster reload speed, and really fast relic use speed. The Prime perk allows for kills to extend the duration of your mark. This mark lets you see enemies through walls and helps increase crit chance. Basically, the class gives a huge boost to range, weak spot, and crit chance, which allows for those big red numbers that you see. I recommend the skill Hunter's Mark as it is the most reliable hunter skill. Moving through areas is very easy as you can see every enemy before you reach them. It also lasts 25 seconds, allowing you to get a ton of damage in early on in the fight. Honestly, Hunter is a rare class where all of the skills work very similarly. Each is better depending on the gun, so play around with it and see what you prefer. Either way, the skill gives you enough crit to be getting yellow numbers 90% of the time. For your subclass, you want to run Gunslinger. I tried a variety of classes with this so as not to do another Hugs build, as they like to call it, but you're sort of forced to run it with these two guns. Both have bad reload speed and need to be boosted from Hunter and Gunslinger to be viable in combat. Also, both provide the best benefit, so just roll with it. Gunslinger is all about ammo and gun speed. Faster fire rate, more range damage, extra ammo, and much better reload speed. When focusing on guns alone, this class is very powerful, allowing the sluggish reload speed of many guns in this game to simply go away. For the skill, I recommend Bullet Storm. It works best here as you can fire bullets faster, and it means you're able to deal more damage when bosses have some downtime. The fire rate speed is essential as fusion rifles get extra damage due to their slow speed. This negates that altogether, but keeps the high damage. Armor for this build is purely fashion, as DPS-based builds can't tank worth anything in Apocolypse. I chose the Fey Royal set as it is perfect with both guns and looks as royal as you're going to get. Use the Space Worker gloves so as to have a medium dodge roll, and it doesn't really ruin the look. Your relic will be the Tranquil Heart. This is a tough one to get, so run with whatever you like if you don't have it. What's nice about this one is it passively grants 2 health regen per second and will double all health regen upon use. So you really just never use the relic and rely on the regen to fix you up. Defense is not a bonus for this build, so you need to learn to dodge or only take 1 or 2 hits here and there. For the fragments, I run range crit chance, range critical damage, and weak spot damage. The idea here is to hit powerful weak spot crit 100% of the time, and all 3 of these grant massive bonuses towards that goal. They're some pretty powerful relics, honestly. Alright, time for the main weapon. We're running Deceit, which is a fusion rifle. One that's kind of confusing to understand, so let's go through it step by step. The weapon fires 6 bullets before it needs to reload. Each of those 6 bullets hits twice per shot in a sniper-like fashion. It has amazing range and great accuracy. Problem is, the gun cannot hit weak spot damage no matter how hard you try. It just can't, as it's a mechanic of the gun. To make up for this, it has very high crit chance, so get as much crit as possible and the gun performs very, very well. Even more interesting is the mod tied to this weapon. Upon use, 3 blades will surround you. If you use your melee, it will send one of the blades out towards an enemy. Enemies hit by this will get a debuff that counts down. During this debuff counter, hits from Deceit only hit weak spot, no matter where you hit them. Leg, arm, back, doesn't matter, it's gonna be weak spot damage. Which makes Deceit the single best DPS weapon in the game, as bosses that don't even have weak spots now do for every single shot. Very strong mod. What's also cool is that if you use the charged melee, all 3 of the swords are going to be sent towards the enemy at the same time instead of just one, thus allowing you to build up mod energy while firing the rounds in your magazine. With a specific ring, you can fully charge the mod back up and never shoot without weak spot damage. Also, when you activate the mod, it fully reloads the gun, which means it never needs to be reloaded and can get some stupidly high damage numbers. Now that I kind of explained how the gun works, let's talk about the mutator. There's a couple that work here, but Supercharger is by far the best, increasing charge speed of fusion rifles by 30%, which is a massive buff for this gun specifically. You can fire this slow shooting gun way faster. It's honestly pretty crazy. Oh, and that's not all. Fully upgraded, the mutator grants 15% extra critical chance to Deceit. See where we're going here? The crit is gonna be crazy. Melee isn't all that important, but I prefer the hero sword. You don't actually need a weapon that throws a projectile, but I found having the projectile allows you to better aim Deceit's mod. Also, we're using an amulet to get even more crit, so a throw-charged melee feels right. As for the mutator, I recommend Reinvigorate to reduce the charged melee attack for your stamina. Since this is all we're using the weapon for, this is the perfect one. Now, most people make a Deceit build and tell you about that only, but your sidearm is just as important, if not more so. Meet the Bolt Driver. It's a fusion rifle just like Deceit and thus gets the buffs that we're going to grant Deceit as well. The Bolt Driver fires multiple bullets in each shot with very accurate precision, also hitting with some crazy high crit chance and weak spot damage. Basically, it's a mini Deceit that can hit weak spot without the mod mechanic. Run corrosive rounds for even more crit chance, as well as weakening the enemy to take some more damage. Then run the mutator Ghost Shell. This mutator is cheating on the Bolt Driver as it works ridiculously well. After 3 weak spot hits, the next weak spot will deal 40% more damage. Remember I said that Bolt Driver fires multiple bullets at once? Yeah, this means one fire of the gun, and you get this mutator to buff your last bullet. 40% more damage is massive, and weak spots will be very powerful now. Also, at level 10, the thing increases weak spot crit chance by 15%. Both of these guns with these mutators were made for each other, and the Ghost Shell here honestly was just designed for this gun alone, simply from how both work together. As for weapons, you can shred with all 3. Use the throw melee to buff damage and then hit weak spots with Bolt Driver for big numbers. Or use Deceit to shoot high crit and then the best weak spot damage. Yes, you can get some more damage out of other weapons, but nothing is better than guaranteed weak spot crit, even for bosses that don't have a weak spot. Just try this out. You'll see how crazy this really is. Let's try and quickly go over the amulets and rings. Butcher's Fetish increases crit chance by 15% and crit damage by 25% for 15 seconds after striking an enemy with a charged melee attack. The Hero Sword allows you to do this from a distance, and we already need to charge melee when using Deceit, so it's perfect. Also, this amulet is one of the best in the game, as it offers more damage than most items just due to how strong crit really is. Faerin's Sigil makes all crit and weak spot hits generate 10% more mod power. With the way we have Deceit set up, you'll always be getting that mod back easily without having to use the gun without the special weak spot ability. Archer's Crest increases projectile speed by 20% and decreases weapon charge time by 25%. Both of our guns are fusion rifles that get firing speed bonus from this. It's a must-have when running either gun. Probability Cord grants 30% more crit damage, and since all we're going to hit is crit, this buffs us quite a lot. Xania's Malice provides the best buff to weak spot damage in the game, granting a total of 30% more weak spot damage after 3 shots. It's impossible not to run here. The set here will make your damage numbers really high. It also keeps Deceit from being high maintenance, and overall makes fusion rifles insanely good at burst damage. Traits are pretty simple here, as we want to be able to dodge attacks easily and be comfortable with our basic regen abilities. Long Shot increases weapon range, which makes you a sniper that can take down mob enemies with ease. Ammo Reserves is 100% required when running either of these guns, as both have no ammo whatsoever. The trait increases ammo by 50%. Untouchable increases evade windows so that you don't die every 3 seconds. Regrowth increases health regen, and since we want a Relic to passively heal us, this makes that more efficient. Vigor for health, Endurance for more dodging, Spirit to have our mod back all the time, and Expertise to keep the skills coming back at a good pace. I like to also have Fitness, as the extra evade distance makes up for poorly timed dodges and trickier boss fights. Luckily, once you have this build set up and running, it's pretty easy to use. I found that for dungeons where you're only killing adds and elites, the simple crit hits from Deceit are enough to decimate everything. The hidden feature of this gun is that it has ridiculous stagger, so you can keep everything away from you and kill them quickly. For boss fights, you want to immediately pop both skills and Deceit's mod, then charge melee. Once the thing hits the boss, start firing as fast as possible. If you don't miss a bullet, you can use the mod again to skip reloading and repeat. This can be easy to mess up at times until you get used to it, but the damage is so crazy that you'll want to use it regardless. Now, for situations where you miss with the melee or just need to destroy some adds, the bolt driver instantly kills all adds. The weak spot is also so high that you can use it on bosses when Deceit is out of bullets. This gun does need weak spot to be open, but if it is, the boss is in serious trouble. You're not going to be tanky whatsoever with this setup, but killing bosses this quickly is very, very fun. It also forces you to learn some of the mechanics better and dodge more accurately. But overall, the advantage is having boss fights last less than a minute or two. Makes you feel pretty good after the win. I am of course aware other content creators have covered a variation of this build, and when it comes to something so powerful, someone's gonna obviously have stumbled upon it before me. Regardless, this is my variation of it, and hopefully you better understand how everything works with a more lengthy explanation. Pairing up the mutators and relic fragments is what makes this build really pop. Otherwise, Deceit feels like a bad gun. Just need to fully deck it out, and I feel like it becomes the best gun in the game. If you did enjoy this video, I would love a quick like down below. Go delete some bosses, and I'll catch you next time.